Hey everybody, and welcome back to Church with Jess. That's me. This is episode 26. It's been a minute, but as I said last time in episode 25 that I wasn't going to be doing church quite as often, but I'm definitely going to still be doing it whenever I'm able to. So here it is, and the focus this week, this month, is going to be on healing of ourselves and of our planet and of all the people that inhabit it. I just feel like that's really been like a common thread over these last several months, or getting to that point of where we can start the healing process. So my question to the divine source, to the universe, to God, to Great Spirit is, what clarity can the people of the world receive in order to understand their own healing and how it is connected to the soul of the world, the universe, and the divine source? Where does our healing begin, and how can we learn to project and radiate love onto the world and each other? How can healing ourselves heal the planet? Remember that it's all connected. The blanket. Yes, I'm still talking about I Heart Huckabees, and I hope that you guys have watched it and can understand the blanket, and that everything you could ever want or be, you already have and are. That's a quote from I Heart Huckabees. There's another quote at the end of I Heart Huckabees that really, I just watched it again the other day with my beautiful, amazing friend Elise, and something that they say at the very end, they're talking about chains and chaining themselves to a tree or a rock or something, and in order to protest, Mark Wahlberg's character asks Jason Schwartzman's character, he says, "Should I bring my own chains?" And Jason Schwartzman replies, "We always do." And I thought that was so powerful. So with all that we've been doing over all of these weeks and months, I feel like it's been leading up to this point of talking about the healing process and where do we begin with healing ourselves, because it all has to start, just as everything in this whole experience has been, it all has to start from within us, and that wanting and longing to reach into ourselves and look into our soul and figure out what our divine purpose is. We're all here for the same reason. We're doing soul searching, we're doing the work. We've maybe dug deeper and deeper and pulled things out from within us, things that we didn't even realize were there. And that's so important, and it can be painful. It can be painful to release, to pull those things to the surface, so that we can prepare to release them. But it's so essential to the healing process, and it's very empowering to be able to understand why, maybe what has happened to you in your past that enables you to be the way that you are now. And it's important to acknowledge all of that, and acknowledge everything that's coming up for you, so that you can get to a point where you can release it. And you don't have to release it right away. You don't have to immediately shift your thoughts to more positive ones. I think that's a really common misconception in healing, and I think there are a lot of people in the spiritual world out there who will tell you, no, negative thoughts are bad and you should immediately stop thinking them and shift to a positive thought and mask that negative thought. But when you're masking something, you're pushing it down, and you're pushing it down, and you're pushing it down, and every time it comes up, you're saying, no, I'm not going to think this, and you're pushing it down, you're suppressing it, and that's really not healthy, because you're just pushing it back down within your psyche, within yourself, and eventually those things are going to come out, you know. The pressure can only build up so much before it explodes. So bottling up is not a healthy, in fact, it's a very toxic habit. It's a very toxic habit to have. So the what you want to do in order to begin healing, the healing process for yourself, is, when you have a thought, stop and acknowledge that thought. Where is it coming from? Where from within you is it coming from? What phase of your existence is this thought stemming from? And what might have happened to you or happened around you that, is causing you to hold on to whatever feelings you're holding on to surrounding the thought, and explore it as much as that you need. If it takes you a day, if it takes you a week, a year, explore the thoughts, explore the feelings, try to understand them, so that you can eventually get to the point where you can just breathe it out and release it, and release all the fear and the anger and the hurt and the pain, the jealousy, whatever other issues that you're holding on to. Get to the point where you release those things. One thing at a time. It's a process. That's why it's called the healing process, because it's not something that happens overnight. It's not something that there's a magic pill for. This is something that you really, really have to sit down and do the work. It's really important to do the work. It's all a part of the process. Everything is connected. So on that note, we have made it back to our first deck, which is the Russian Gypsy deck. I'm drinking my Buddha teas, my lemongrass tea, in my really awesome, beautiful glass mug that my cousin Doris gave to me, because she knows what I like. So let's get into the reading. This is the deck. I know it's been a while since I've done an episode of church, so this is the deck where you match pictures, or you match halves. Oops. I just showed you my lovely new bra, Bali from Kohl's. Yeah, it's cute. Anyways, so we match halves of pictures to create a whole, and then you read the corresponding image, and that's what we interpret. So the first image that I matched was the mice, which represents like a loss or finding of a material article. It is an immediate influence. So an immediate influence, in case you've forgotten, is something that it could have just happened last week. It could be in the process of happening, or like right about to happen right after this reading. It's a very immediate thing. So the general meaning of this picture is it symbolizes a loss or finding of material goods. It's a relatively minor picture unless what you have lost is of value to you. The picture is helpful in that it tells you whether to exert energy searching for the object or not. So, like, do you focus your energy on this material thing? Like, is it of some value to you? And value doesn't necessarily have to do with money. Value can be just a personal, emotional attachment to something and what it means to you at the soul level. So, it could be either or. So, we have this card in position 3, which talks about a theft. Don't leave valuable goods lying around, as they may be taken in the same way that mice eat food that is left out. Make sure your doors are locked and the locks work properly. This is not a time to be careless with your possessions. Be careful of the people around you, and don't venture into unknown territory. Theft or robbery is possible. Remember, thieves don't like to be caught. Therefore, by taking preventative measures, you may avoid the theft. So again, this picture does talk about a material article, a theft of a material article. Be careful, be aware. Don't live in fear, though. When we tend to live in fear and worry, we're constantly projecting those things. We don't realize how powerful our minds are. Our mind is the most powerful tool or weapon that we have, to be honest. So when we're constantly projecting fear and worry out with our minds, we're constantly attracting that back in. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that at all. So just be aware of your surroundings, and just, do what you need to do to protect what is valuable to you. You could also see this on a deeper level. I kind of saw it as, like, what has already been stolen from us. We're talking about healing and what we need to do to heal, and we have to acknowledge, everything that's going on in the world and the people that hold the power, or who think they hold the power, who we allow to hold the power. What have they taken from all of us as a whole, as a society, and can we get it back? Do we want it back? The thieves aren't necessarily who you might perceive in your mind to be the thieves. There are sometimes greater thieves and criminals in this world than just the thugs you might see on the street. So always be aware of your personal surroundings, of course, but also of everything that's going on in the world and the people that seem to be running things. Always have one eye open. That's all I'm saying. And protect yourself. Protect yourself and what is valuable to you. And that doesn't just have to be a material thing. That can be your free will, your ability to seek truth and not take things at face value, to not take what is said or written or read to be truth, to be absolute truth. Do your research, know what you're talking about truly, you know? I think in this day and age especially, like, people don't know what they're talking about. They don't do any research. They just repeat what they're told, whether it's true or not. And when something's constantly repeated, people really start to believe that it's true no matter what. That's what they accept as the truth. So don't allow yourself. I think part of the healing process is to step way outside of that way of thinking and see things as a whole. See things as a whole and do your own research and find, be a seeker of the truth, basically. So the next image that we matched was the owl. The owl. So we have the owl in position 1, but it represents problems with immediate projects. It's a short duration influence, which could be maybe I think it's 1 to 3 weeks from the reading. So the general meaning of the owl image is, in Western society, the owl has stood for wisdom. This is probably because the owl doesn't seem to waste energy. It looks like it is thinking or observing a situation very carefully before attacking its prey. In Eastern cultures, however, the owl is looked at in a more negative way. Too much yin, almost like a ghost, although not as evil. Both interpretations are suited to the owl picture. Generally, the card refers to projects we've undertaken. These are usually vital to our existence, just as the prey is vital to the owl's existence. In every position, the picture tells us to look carefully at our projects, as there seems to be some problem with them. So the owl picture is talking about immediate projects. And in position 1, it says, at the present moment you feel like acting unwisely. And it's not a conscious feeling, but you might have an idea of wanting to do something and it's just not the right time for it. So, this is saying perhaps you want to invest money when you shouldn't, or pursue a losing proposition, or even give up on a plan that you should continue. So just approach this wisely and think it through. Whatever project you're involved with at work or home needs to be examined carefully. Sit down and evaluate the project, what you're working on, what you're trying to accomplish, and decide the best course of action for yourself in your own life. And, what resonates with you. You should be like the owl. Sit back quietly and ponder the situation. What is the best action to take at this time? And just remember that this picture only refers to the next week or weeks, and what you put off today can be picked up again in a week or two. It doesn't mean that you have to quit this forever. It's just meaning that maybe this isn't the best time to complete the thing that you're focusing your energy on right now. Maybe your energies are best focused elsewhere. Rest and reflect. It's really important to we're always go, 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 go. And when we're doing that, we are so distracted from the internal. And that's why it's so important to rest and reflect. So basically just think twice before you do anything definite. Follow the Russian adage, measure 7 times, cut once. Doesn't hurt to go slowly at this time. Assess the entire situation. Do your research. Know what you're getting yourself into before you make any rash decisions. Okay. So the next image that was matched is the book. This is another short influence. I feel like most of the cards in this reading were all immediate or short. So this is all very relevant to right now and the state of the world, what we're going through. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of information being passed around. There's just a lot of energy. There's a lot of energy right now, a lot of chaotic energy, and somehow how we have to swim. I feel like we have to swim against the current and get through it and just make the best decisions for the world. That's all we can do is think about what is best for the world, so that all of us as a people and as a planet can heal from these deep wounds of our society, of our cultures, of our leaders. It's all a healing process, and it all has shifted so far to a negative spectrum of the scale. And we need to start shifting it back, and that's going to take each and every one of us doing some healing and projecting a more positive energy out onto the world. So, the book is the symbol for secret news. It's always been associated with knowledge. Knowledge is power. It is not only having the book, but also being able to read it that gives power to the owner. So in the Middle Ages, long time ago, most people couldn't read. The people that could read was the clergy. So in those times, that's why the church had all the power, because people had to rely on the word of the church for their information, because they couldn't read it themselves. They couldn't just look in a book and get the info, because they didn't know how to read. And at some point people became more empowered and learned, more people learned how to read and learned to think for themselves. And that's so important. Thinking for yourself is something that each and every single one of us can do. And it is so important. It's so important to the healing process, is realizing that you already hold that power. So with the invention of the printing press, books became available to the masses, knowledge spread. However, not all of us assign as much importance to knowledge as we should. Thus, even today, it's the people who are in the know, who are privy to private knowledge, who hold the most power. That's kind of what I was saying before, that, we rely on other people to feed us information, and then we just pass it along without ever doing any research on that information. We are passing it along, and in doing that, we're saying, I acknowledge this as an absolute truth, and I'm sharing it with you because it's something that I believe in, but that doesn't mean that it's true. And that's why it's so important to research things before you put them back out into the world. Going back to our mind and how powerful of a tool and or weapon it can be. It's so important what you're projecting back onto the world. Think of, all of us are energy. All of us are made up of energy, which can't be created or destroyed. So it's just transferred from person to person, from thing to thing. So think of every single person putting out thoughts, and think of waves, brain waves, just like radio waves or microwaves are being projected out, every thought that you have. So the more negative the thoughts being projected out just by one person, let's imagine one person has 100 might be a big number. Let's say every person just has 10 negative thoughts that they're projecting out into the world, So, out of 10 people projecting negative thoughts, that's 100 negative thoughts going out to the world. How many billions of people are in this world? And if everyone's on this negative mindset and projecting that out, like, that's all being absorbed and mixing with the energy of the planet. And the same goes if you are projecting positive thoughts onto the world. So that's why it's so important to acknowledge and release, what no longer serves you, and to project what you want to get back from the world. So, the book, in position 3, it says, the secret you have been told is going to be disclosed. Either you or someone else will make it public. Knowledge and information are ever changing, and what is secret one minute can be public the next. This should be of no concern to you if you have been above board and honest in your dealings. This is why it's not a good idea to try to use secret knowledge for illegal purposes. You will be found out. You might feel hurt or resentful when a private or intimate secret is disclosed. However, that is life, always changing. Your confidant may still be your good friend, but circumstances have changed and made the disclosure necessary. You can't hide, the Russians say, you can't hide an awl in a cloth bag. In other words, you can't hide secrets. Someone always finds out. The truth does always come out, and I really feel this is a short influence card, something that's gonna, happen in a week, 1 to 3 weeks. And I really feel like there's a lot of secrets. There's always a lot of secrets in this world, and as you get higher and higher up, I think there's more and more secrets. People cannot be trusted with power. Power corrupts. It always does. There's very few who have risen above the power of corruption. So power corrupts, and there are secrets. There are secrets in this world that are going to come to light. They're going to come to light before this year is out. So, just listen. Know what's going on in the world. Watch. Observe. Use all of your senses. And you'll see the truths and the underlying truths of what's really going on. It's very important to always be open and receptive. The next image is that of the castle. Security. So this is one of our life cards that I drew for this reading, or matched for this reading today. So this is one that can span the entire life. I always take life cards. I always hold them close because this is wanting to tell you something that will resonate with you throughout your entire life. So the castle represents material security. It's always meant safety and protection from one's enemies. Traditionally, it's referred to a heavily walled building fortified to protect the inhabitants from enemy attack. As civilization progressed, people no longer needed the strong fortification, but the idea of safety and refuge has remained. When you think of a castle, you think of strength and protection. You know, you think of all the people being inside and them closing the gates, and, you know, it's not easy to penetrate, but it can be done. A castle had to be built saying a home is a person's castle still has meaning today. A castle had to be built using sound methods in order to be a place of safety. But it can only be a refuge if you put in enough time and effort to make it a comfortable place. Thus, the meaning of the picture is that one will get one's just rewards, but it's due to one's earnest efforts in life and the opportunity to live one's natural life to the end. It represents those aspects of your life that will provide an optimum environment for you to live in. You know, keeping your home clear of old energies, clutter, you know, things that those energies will attract to is vital. It's vital to the healing process. It really is. You'll feel, you know, it's not about being like a clean freak or anything like that. It's just when you declutter your life and your home situation, you make room to receive the energies that are coming your way, and for them to not get stuck, you know, but to make their way to you and be able to penetrate you. So we have the castle in position 1. Whatever your hopes in life are, they will be fulfilled, even if at the end of your life. Your hopes will be realized, although perhaps not as soon as you would wish. The problem is that many of us want it sooner than it is ordained. We don't want to wait a lifetime. After all, this is the age of instant gratification, right? The picture tells you, relax, stop trying so hard. Keep on working toward your goal, don't rush it. I always say that, you know, when you overthink it, you're like messing up the game. You know, if you think of life as a game that you're playing, when you start thinking so much about what you're going to do, it's like you miss the other things surrounding you, and you mess it all up. You drop the ball, you know. So don't overthink things. I'm very fidgety. You probably know this by now if you've watched any other episodes, but anyways, just don't overthink things. Just and don't expect to ask for something and receive it immediately. You know, you have to be willing to do the work that is required to receive the things that you're asking for. You know, are you willing to do that soul work at the soul level, do the shadow work? Are you willing to do all of that in order to receive the gifts that are meant for you, you know, and you'll receive it in due time. There is a time and a place for everything. You know, I don't think that there's coincidences. Things happen for a reason, and they happen in the time that they're meant to. So instant gratification is just something that doesn't truly work. So a castle doesn't only mean security, it's a safe refuge. Yet if we confine ourselves to it, the results might not be to our benefit in the long run. So, you know, when you build walls up, you can also get trapped within them. So you have to really think about that. When you think about walls and building walls, they might protect you, you know, and they might protect your heart, or, you know, whatever. They might do that. That's true. But, you know, when you're building walls around yourself and you're not allowing things to come in. You can also keep yourself locked in and not allow yourself to come out. You can get trapped. You can get trapped inside of yourself, you know? So it's important to be guarded. That's true. You know, you can be guarded, but don't allow yourself to get stuck or to not think that you can ask for help, or that you can leave your castle, you know, and explore and interact with everything that's outside of your castle. You know, see the big picture. Don't get stuck inside of your comfort zone. So, yeah, stop and smell the roses, you know. Don't rush things. When you rush things and you're constantly, it is so true, you know, when you're constantly doing things that are really irrelevant to the process of self-discovery and healing, it's all just distractions, and it distracts your mind from its true purpose. You know, it's why it's so important to take a break, relax, get away from the city if you live in a city, you know, do some grounding, reflect. It's so important to be able to stop, step outside of ourselves, outside of our castle, and see the big picture, because everything that's happening is affecting everything else, just like the blanket. So understand that. Understand what that means, and what that means for yourself and for the healing of the planet. So those who are always in a hurry not only miss many details and have to redo them later, but also increase their chance of dying young from high blood pressure. Therefore, strive for your goals, but be patient. You'll get as far as you want to go. And that is so true. You know, many people often have blinders on because it's easier to just see straight ahead than to really see the big picture and the truth of what's really going on. So take the blinders off, you know, take the blinders off and be willing to work on yourself and be open to receive, and you will get far. And you will only get far if you are willing to do those things. If you keep the blinders on, then you're just gonna keep going down the same path and never really learn anything about yourself or accomplish your soul's purpose in the physical plane in this lifetime. So, the next image that we have is, actually, we're on the final card. So the final card, it's kind of a little bit dark in here, so I don't know if you can see that. But the final card, you are supposed to, it's the most important card in the reading. It kind of like sums up the whole reading. And you are supposed to read the image in the position that it's in, as well as in position number 1, which is supposed to kind of represent what the outcome would be if you were to heed the advice of the position that it's in. So, so the first image that we have is the boy, which represents adventure. And it's another immediate to short influence. So either just happened or will happen up to 3 weeks from now. just a few weeks from now. So the general meaning of the boy is that it signifies youth, energy, adventure. And I think I tell you guys, every time I get this card, it makes me think of my brother, because that was his spirit, adventure and energy, and youth. And it's also number 13, which is the number that my family associates with him. So hi Alex. I always think of him when I draw or when I match this picture. So, you know, whether we're young or not, the picture refers to our childish sense of adventure or playfulness. It's the time to behave like a young boy, to trust new people, and look for the adventure in everyday things. We need to let go of our adult roles at times and seek the simple pleasures that we used to enjoy as youths. And I think that that is something that adults do, is they've completely forgotten what that feeling of being young and being carefree and not having really, hopefully not having really any worries, just kind of being just, you know, we're so worried about everything as adults that we don't allow ourselves to just exist, to just be present in the moment. And it's so important to do that, you know, to be here now, because, you know, the past doesn't exist and neither does the future. The only thing that exists is this moment, and it is fleeting. So grasp it, you know, seize it, seize the day, get in touch with your inner child, and seek adventures in everyday life. So we have it in position 3, which says a new friendship is possible. This is important as many of us do not make new friends easily after a certain age. When this picture shows up, take a good look around you to see who this new friend could be. It could be an acquaintance, a neighbor, someone completely new, or an old friend from the past who enters the scene again. Be yourself so that when you come in contact with the new friend, you have the basis for a strong friendship. The new friend could also be someone younger than you. It's important to keep communications open to people younger and older than you. Having friends of various ages gives you different perspectives on life and keeps you from boredom. Yeah, I don't really believe in boredom. I think if you're bored, then you're boring. Like, there's always something to do, even and especially self-work. And it is true that just because you're a certain age doesn't mean you can only associate with other people that age. I think when you do that, you're being stuck you're allowing yourself to be kind of stuck in your own bubble. And I think it's important to learn and to understand, like, everything that's going on in the world. You have to be able to relate to other groups, other age groups, and not only just other age groups, other genders, other cultures, other religions, other, you know, political beliefs. It's important for us to understand each other, or to learn how to understand each other. And understanding each other doesn't necessarily mean that we have to agree with each other. But in gaining a better understanding of each other, it allows us to be able to come together. And coming together is part of the healing process. In this world right now, and especially in the country that I am in, the United States, and this goes on all over the world, in every country, but there's, you know, people that are so far over here or so far over here, and there's no coming to meet in the middle, because we're just too in our own groups. We're in our castles, our prospective castles, and we are not allowing anyone in, and we are also not willing to come out and to see the world. So there's now, and it is true that united we stand and divided we fall. When we are so divided, it is impossible for us to be able to see the big picture because we are so focused on our own agendas. And what we have to remember is that there's always going to be different sides to everything. And, we don't all believe in the same things or agree on the same things. Every time, every few years, there might be a different administration that's running things, and you might not like that administration. But it's like, it's not always going to be in your favor, because if that were the case, then everything would just be one-sided. So it's so super important for us to be able to step outside of our castles that we talked about our castles in the last picture. So step outside of our castles, be able to take down the walls, take down some of the walls at least, and be willing to come together and talk, and not just talk, but to listen to each other, listen to what the other side is saying, because that's how you understand somebody better, by listening. When you're listening, you're receptive, you're open. So you're open and you're receiving. So you can come together with somebody and listen to what their opinions are, what their beliefs and views are, so that you can understand better where they are coming from. You don't have to agree with what their beliefs are, and they don't have to agree with yours or your views or whatever, but you have to be willing to dig deeper to find some common ground. Dig and dig and dig. There has to be something that you have in common. And you can take that and build off of it, because when we're so far on either side of the spectrum, we're only thinking about what's best for one group of people. We're not truly thinking about what is best for the entire planet, the entire world, the entire country. We're not thinking about that when we're stuck on our own side. We're only thinking about our own. But the truth is, there are billions and billions of people on this planet, all with different beliefs, different views, different religions, different colors of skin, different philosophies, different upbringings, different backgrounds. We all have a lot of differences, but if we're willing to come together, we will see that we have a lot of similarities as well. All of our bodies are made up of skin and bones and organs and muscles and cells, and we all bleed red. So it's time to stop hating each other and start listening to each other. So, in position 1, the position 3 is about being open to receive, being open to accept new people into your life, and to listen and to hear what they're saying and what that means to you. And in doing that, position 1, saying travel is possible in the near future. It's a very good time to take a trip anywhere you desire, even if you have not planned on taking a trip at this time. But something unexpected happens and you have the opportunity to go, then do so, as a good time is indicated. This does not have to be an expensive trip, rather, it can be one of discovery, of seeing new places and situations from a different perspective than we normally would. Wherever you go, you will go with the sense of adventure that a boy has in discovering something new. It's getting ourselves outside of our comfort zones, allowing ourselves in allowing ourselves to do that and to be exposed to things that we maybe have prevented ourselves from doing before because we constantly tell ourselves that we're not enough, that we can't do something. We are our own worst critics. We constantly are down on ourselves. So putting yourself outside of your comfort zone and allowing yourself to accomplish things that you told yourself you could not previously accomplish is empowering. Moving along, the next image on the final card is the rooster, or the cock as I like to refer to it as. So, the period of influence, once again, is immediate, so it just happened, about to happen. This is news that wakes you. The rooster crows at the beginning of day, signaling the coming of light. Once, when a town was being secretly attacked at dawn, the rooster woke the residents in time to defend themselves. Thus, the rooster picture signals good news or warning to defend yourself. It is a positive card heralding significant news in regard to your daily life. So this has to do with news regarding your daily life. And it's in position 4 for us. You'll wake up from a sweet sleep to everyday matters. This is not a bad picture. Rather, it reminds you of daily tasks you've been too busy to perform. The picture calls you to action. It's time to wake up and do the chores that have accumulated. Usually these things will be accomplished swiftly and successfully at this time. So I kind of see this as like balance, because it's so important to, do all this work on yourself and really look within yourself and seek the answers that are already living within you. But it's also important not to neglect other things around you, right? It's being open to everything and creating balance in your life. So, we have to take care of, our everyday household chores as well, and not let one thing go to pot while, the other thing is like really taken care of, So basically take care of all of the aspects of your life, because all of that is connected. And when you're taking care of every aspect of yourself and your environment, you are taking care of the planet and the people of the planet as well. And in doing that, in position 1, soon you will hear good news. It'll be news that affects your home or daily life. Any news that enlightens your day. So good things are coming. I believe in the good things coming. Yeah. The next image is the demons. What does that mean? Short influence, so a week to a few weeks from now. Demons are your inner conflicts, the negative thoughts that cause doubt or urge retaliation. Sometimes the demons are the base side of your nature, which wants to strike back in a cruel or careless manner when you are hurt. So our demons are the things inside of us that want revenge or like payback, things like that. When we're hurt people hurt people. And when we're hurting, it's sometimes hard to step outside and see the big picture and see that those thought patterns are not healthy. The picture in all positions urges you to control the negative side of your nature, as it will only lead to further unpleasantness. And by controlling the negative side of your nature, you have to acknowledge all the thoughts that are surrounding that so that you can keep it at bay. Release it. So we have it in position 2, which says, yielding to the temptation of taking vengeance for an offense, you will only increase the unpleasantness. Don't yield to the temptation to take vengeance. Sometimes you will get this picture after you've already struck back at someone. In that case, cool down and act as politely and cordially as possible. The unpleasantness will clear up. So again, it's just saying, like, wanting to retaliate against somebody that has wronged you is just feeding more negative energy into a situation. It is not creating any resolve. And you might initially feel good, you know, about something, about hurting somebody. But in the long run, I think that you're just end up hurting yourself more. So in taking that advice, in position 1, do not listen to cunning whisperings wishing to hurt you. Do not fall prey to negative thoughts, whether they are feelings of greed, jealousy, doubt, inadequacy, insecurity, or paranoia. These thoughts undermine your self-confidence. So all these negative thoughts, they allow us to get down on ourselves and to lose that sense of trust in ourselves and in our intuitions and our gut and our heart, and our mind. You know, we stop trusting ourselves because we're allowing all of these negative influences to attack our psyche. So these thoughts undermine your self-confidence. They're only within you and are not a reflection of the reality around you. In other words, you can be your own worst enemy. I said that before. If the feelings are not checked, they can torment you needlessly. That's overthinking, right? Overthinking of negative thoughts. The mind is a tool. The mind is powerful, and we're constantly thinking these negative thoughts. We start believing them, and that's how fear is created. We start believing these negative thoughts to be our truths, and that is when we lose our sense of self. When we just fall prey. We fall prey to the negative thoughts and allow them to consume us. One has to learn to listen to the negative thoughts, examine their warning, but then put the thoughts to rest and proceed with positive action. And that's what I was talking about in the very beginning of this reading, about how important it is to acknowledge our thoughts, whether they're positive or negative. We have to acknowledge everything that we're feeling in order to really discover our true nature and our true self, and to be able to shift to a more positive reality. Acknowledge every thought that you are thinking and get to a place where you can release it and not allow it to consume you, because it doesn't have to. Don't allow fear to control or consume you. And when we don't allow ourselves to release our negative thoughts, we're just feeding them, and they grow and they grow and they grow and they turn into a monster, you know. So it's important to acknowledge and then extinguish those thoughts. Don't allow them to grow into a beast. And the final image that we have on this last card is bread, which represents happiness. It's a middle influence card, so this one's more like 1 to 3 months from now. The general meaning of bread is the staff of life. The cultivation of grain has led to the formation of a stable society. Thus, bread implies stability, prosperity, generosity, and nourishment. When you receive this picture, it means that your life and home are lucky. You are prosperous and content. You are prosperous and content. Say it. I am prosperous and content. I am prosperous and content. I am prosperous and content. Say it again and again and again, like a broken record, until you believe it. You know, you've heard the term believe it and achieve it. That's talking about manifestation. You can manifest anything. And remember, if you can manifest positive, you can manifest negative too. So really, it's really important what your choice of words and the thoughts that you put out, because that's what you're going to receive back to you. So yes, believe. See yourself living the life, already living the life that you want. So we have it in position 4. Having received something yourself, do not forget those surrounding you. The picture is a gentle reminder to share your fortune with others. In our busy everyday life, we quite often forget the niceties of old, reciprocating for what we have received. Yet a debt paid is happiness. Besides, what a wonderful circle we can create. Someone does something nice for us. We in turn make them happy by responding, and they're more likely to do something nice again. The circle can continue indefinitely, bringing happiness and goodwill to everyone concerned. Generosity, even on the smallest scale, has far-reaching results. The Russians say, if everyone gives a thread, the naked one will have a shirt. Do your share of giving in some way. And that's so important too, and I think that's so important in the healing of the world and of our own selves. Is, you know, greed is such a terrible trait. It's a terrible quality to have, to be greedy. We are all here on this planet having a human experience, and you know, if each of us can help the next person just a little bit, you know, we will all be provided for. It's our job to take care of each other. You know, it's important to take care of ourselves at a soul level in order to be able to better take care of everyone else. So we have to take care of each other. We don't stand by and let somebody else drown. That's just it's not morally right. You know, you lend a helping hand if you're able to. And also, on the other end of the spectrum, you know, don't understand that it is okay to receive help. You know, it doesn't mean that you're less than. It just means that, you know, you need the helping hand right now. And one day, the person giving you the helping hand might need a helping hand as well. What goes around comes around. It's all about karma. You know, that energy is all around us. Everything is energy. Everything's connected. You know, action causes reaction. And basically, there has to be a reaction for every action, whether it's good or bad. So karma will always do its part to balance everything out. It's the order in the chaos. So if we keep that in mind, the outcome would be, you will be made happy with the present. The picture implies that you'll receive some present that you will enjoy. The present may also be a total surprise, making you unexpectedly happy. The present is given from the heart, and you make the giver happy by accepting it. And it doesn't even have to be a material thing. People give us gifts all the time. You know, sometimes it's gifts of knowledge, of love, of patience, of understanding, of healing. There's all sorts of gifts that you should be open to receive. And know that you are allowed, just as anybody else is, to receive all the blessings that are directed towards you and coming your way. You are deserving of that. So be blessed and be love. Spread love onto the world. Educate yourselves. Be kind. And open your eyes to see the big picture. Listen. Receive. Give. Give positive energy, positive light onto the world. Be the beacon of light that the world needs in this time of darkness. If we all shine, all of us who are willing to shine our lights, shine them as brightly as you can. And that energy will radiate throughout the entire world. We can do it if we work together and we come together in unity. So to answer my question about healing, about how, how we can start the healing process and correct, or the healing process for ourselves in order to heal the people of the planet and the entire planet itself. Healing is multifaceted. When we spread joy, love, and peace, we get that back. But the same goes for spreading hate, fear, jealousy, and greed, and that's what I just said before. Everything that you are giving, you are also receiving. So, think consciously about that before you put something out into the world. Be peaceful. Reflect, so that you can respond and not react to a situation. Take care of yourselves and spread love and joy, and acknowledge your feelings, acknowledge all of them, discover your authentic self, who you truly are, and project that onto the world. I love you all. Namaste.